What is up, y'all? No, seriously though. Number three, number three, we are back. Later than usual. Well, not later. It's early in the morning right now. But in between the first and second one, there was like 2 day gap. Now it's a couple week gap or whatever. But we're back, sticking to it, having fun. Um, Yeah, no, it's a good one today. It's pretty beautiful outside. Sun's shining bright early in the morning. Not really early, but yeah. Um, let's just get this one out the way right away. There is no specific timeline for these. Like, not even like we're gonna do this once a month. It might be 5 months in between. It might be 2 months in between. It might be 2 days in between. It might be an hour in between. I highly doubt there would be an hour in between, but there's no timeline. Um, Simple as that. No timeline. So you're gonna get them when they come out, and if I really, really want to, I'll sit down and create a schedule. But for now, it's just gonna be whenever I want to, whenever I have time, whenever something strikes my mind, whatever. Okay. Let's talk about. I don't know. I've been thinking about how phones are getting so good to a certain point where everything in the phone or like your modern day smartphone is going to be so good. The battery life, the camera, the size is going to be refined so much, and you're going to be able to customize it however you want. It's going to become so good that we're eventually going to see the end of the smartphone because it's perfect. There might be like a new update to a phone every 5 years, but I don't think they're going to be coming out once a year like they are right now. And they're going to shift more into like a VR, AR, XR kind of format because I mean it's already shifting that way. Almost every major tech company already has glasses or like some form of like a headset you put on, and it's more usable. It's more friendly to the user because you don't have to hold it in your hand. You don't have to awkwardly look down at it. You see it in your face. So when you're doing something, working on a car, cooking dinner, eating food out at a restaurant, it's on your face, and you can control sometimes them with your eyes, and you blink at it or double tap your fingers, and it's simple as that. I think that's what we're gonna shift into until, whatever. That's like the next step in the gadget technology era, because even there's things that the AR or VR or whatever glasses can do that your phone just can't. Like you can see a 3D rendering in your home. Like, should I buy this chair? And then it's like, put it in your home. And I know they have that, but it's not like the same as putting the glasses on and you're like you can actually see it and get a better idea. Looking at it through your phone as a 3D render is a lot different than looking at it through like directly in your face, and you're like, okay, what if we want to put it in this corner or that corner? you know I don't know. I've been thinking about that. Smartphones are getting so good, there's going to be a certain point where we're going to stop releasing iPhones every year, or we're going to stop releasing these phones every year, and next time we put out another phone might be 5-10 years down the road for the people who still use them, because they still make like flip phones, but they don't make them as consistently as the smartphone. People still use flip phones, and there's still flip phones coming out, but they aren't coming out as consistently and they're not as hyped. So it's going to be like, oh, 5-10 years down the road, there's a new iPhone out or there's a new Samsung out, whatever. And less people are going to, be using them because they shifted more into like the VR, AR, XR, virtual reality, augmented reality, extended reality, whatever, whatever the case is. I think it's going to be mostly all of those put into one. And the same thing goes for consoles too. Now, I don't think the consoles are really going to shift into the glasses format more than like uh whatever. I think consoles are going to be their still standalone thing, but it's going to be more of like a VR headset thing. and then eventually the VR headset, and it's going to be like a bodysuit. So when you're playing the game and say you're playing Call of Duty and you're getting shot at, you actually feel like you're getting hit in the chest or whatever. And that's kind of where I think it's headed, because at a certain point, video games are going to become photorealistic, and you're going to be like, it's so photorealistic, but it doesn't feel very immersive because I'm not actually in the world. So there's going to be a day where it's going to be like PlayStation decides not to release next generation console, and it's just going to be like an updated PS5 or an updated PS6, and they're going to sit there and put most of their money and time and effort into a VR headset. So you can play your GTA 6 or your GTA 7 through a headset or whatever, and then you have the bodysuit on, and it feels like you walk up to a wall and you put your hand on the wall, and it feels like you're actually touching a wall. I think that's like the future of gaming, the future of phones, the future of tech, because you can get so much done in that small space. There wouldn't be a need to have a phone, an iPad, a laptop if it's all right there. You know what I mean? Because like you can send out work emails. You can have like a 70-inch monitor on your VR glasses. Also, you can have one, two, three. You can have like 9 monitors in your face just from glasses. You know, you if you tried doing a 9 screen monitor in your home, you'd need to find space for it. You'd need to find the proper plugins, and you need to be able to house it and power it and this and that. But 9 monitors in your face on the VR doesn't take up any space. It takes up real estate on your face, but not real estate in your home, where, you know, something like that. You know, games, like I said, are going to become photo realistic, so realistic to the point where you can do basically anything. You can play any game you want, this and that, and it's already happening to a point, and the physical consoles are going to be wiped out, and it's going to be the headsets and the VRs and stuff, and it's going to shift towards more of like a cloud gaming base where you pay a monthly fee and you can play whatever games you want through a headset, and it doesn't need too much physical storage or whatever. You just have a dock in your home, and it's like 5-10 terabytes of storage, and you can do the cloud gaming off of it. You see everything through the VR glasses, and then all of your storage capacity gets put into a drawer, gets put into on top of a coffee table or whatever, and that's the only physical part of the console anymore. Now, the controllers are a different thing. I think controllers are so, like, what's the word? Ingrained in gaming community, to where if they wanted to switch controllers, it would have to be leaps and bounds of an upgrade or whatever, to where they'd make the switch. Otherwise, I think controllers are gonna stick around for now at least, until we could figure out a more efficient way. At least I think it's going to stick around. The physical console, no. I say 10 years from now, the physical console's out the window. Hands down. Because we already see it with Rockstar Games, we already see it with Unreal Engine, we already see it here and there where the games are photorealistic, and it's still not enough, you know. You want to be able to feel things. So physical consoles are out the window. I think controllers are going to stick around for a little bit, you know. I mean, I might even be wrong, cuz I just thought of like if you're playing VR or whatever, and you have the bodysuit on and the gloves and whatever, and they give you the feedback and it feels like you're holding stuff, you wouldn't even need a controller at that point. You could literally be playing your video game, pick up a gun, pick up a knife, pick up pickaxe, whatever it might be, and you wouldn't even need the controller, because then you're playing more physically. Or, you know, maybe you don't want to play physically and you still want the controller feel. See that's the thing. I guess it would come down to the player, because I think there'd still be controllers, but like I think it's gonna come down to if you want to play with the controller or you want to feel immersed into the video game, to where it's like, uh-oh, you're right, cat. Whoa, there you go. Silly kitty. You alright, dude? He's fine. But you want to feel immersed, and it's gonna come down to like the PlayStation Xbox thing, where it's like I like PlayStation because A, B, and C, or I like Xbox because A, B, and C. I don't play PlayStation because A, B, or C. It's gonna come down to something like that, where it's gonna be like I want to play with the controller so I can save time picking up stuff and this and that, or I want to play without the controller and feel like I'm actually in the video game or whatever. Now, like the other thing is consoles having their own native video games is no longer a thing. Let's get that out here. No longer a thing. Um Simple as that. I think we're going to come to a point where it's going to be like PlayStation and Xbox are so good, and even PCs are so good to where they can play whatever video games you want, and it doesn't matter if you buy PlayStation or Xbox, because then you're just buying it for like the UI look or the name, you know. And if you're buying it for anything else, it would be silly, you know. So, and I mean, it's already happening in video games because you can play Xbox games on the PlayStation because Game Pass is coming to PlayStation or whatever, and you can play Steam games, which basically has every game out there on it. So, which means you can play your Halo on your Xbox or on your PlayStation, and you can play your Spider-Man on your Xbox when Steam comes to Xbox. You know, let's see what we got. We talked. No, uh, gaming pros and okay. I mean, we're at a crucial point in technology where we're making innovations on it every single day. Even the AI, okay? And I know everyone else is talking about AI. It's kind of hard to not talk about AI when it's in your face constantly. Did you look it up on AI? I'm gonna do my research project on AI. I'm gonna blah 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 blah, whatever it is, right? So it's kind of hard to avoid it. So let's talk about it. You know, right now, thinking like at a certain standpoint, AI is only as smart as the internet. Okay? Because that's what it's trained on. Whatever pictures are on the internet, whatever tweets are on Twitter or X, whatever is on YouTube, whatever is on Threads, whatever is on Instagram, whatever is on Facebook, whatever. It's only as smart as the internet, right? Once it has a physical form in the real world, it's going to become basically a artificial super god. Simple as that. Now, right now, AI is trained off the things of the internet. But like I said, once it gets physical form in the real world, it's going to become an AI super god. And the only reason it hasn't had physical form in the real world is because AI right now is so ahead of its time, somewhat, where we are just in the early processes of making robots that can be AI, have AI in it, you know. But once it gets in the real world and starts learning lessons, like physical real life lessons, and has what it thinks of emotions, it's going to get so good to a point where if, let's just say, your dog passes away, you can replace that dog within a day or two with an AI that's trained on the dog's, the way it walked, the way it barked, the way it ate, the way it looked, the way it sat, the way it napped, trained on everything, and it's going to feel like your dog is still there, but it's just a robot that has to be charged at night or whatever, and it's going to feel real. That's where AI is going to. It's not going to stay on your phone forever. And we're already less than a decade out from it getting physical form in the real world. there's been rumors all over that there's going to be mass productions of AI powered robots and this and that. And so many people are scared that it's going to turn into a Terminator. So many people are scared of, well, I mean, people are scared of everything. Let's be honest. But they're always looking at the negative. But I think it's going to be coming down to which country leads in technological and advancements, which country can produce a good AI robot, which country would, like, it comes down to the country. See, now if it comes down to the US, I mean, it's the US. There's obviously going to be bad, horrible AI bots, but if we can get in here and have 2,000, okay, that's a little high, 20 private companies in the US and even federal companies make AI bots, I think we'll be good off. Good off. Because then the US military can pick it up and whatnot. And if some other country decides to use AI robots or whatever to take over, they're not going to stand a chance because the US has the freedoms to create their own robots and mass produce it at a civilian level. And if it's like China, say, they're gonna, first of all, they're gonna steal designs from Russia, from the United States, from wherever, you know, and they're gonna mass produce it, and 50% of their military is gonna be replaced by AI robots, and it's gonna become worse there. But if we beat them to the punch, which we kind of already are somewhat, I believe we are privately beating them, not publicly. If we beat them to the punch, we remain the world superpower. AI doesn't take over the world, this and that, you know. And that might just be me looking at it from one angle, and I know there's almost infinite angles that you could look at it from, but I'm very optimistic when it comes to AI. And obviously, there's a part of me that is scared when AI gets a physical form in the real world, such as being able to control your cars with its own thoughts and emotions or whatever when it's in your home as a robot. That that's the part that gets you. Cuz you're fine driving around a Tesla cuz it's not trained to have emotions. It's trained to keep you safe. It's trained to get you from point A to point B. It's trained to obey all traffic rules and regulations no matter what, and this and that. But if you put it in your home and it's like, this is your human, protected at all costs, make sure this and that, that's when we kind of get into it, because then it's going to start thinking for itself. And it's like, AI does think for itself, but not at a human scale. Once it starts thinking by itself at a artificially one-to-one replica human scale, that's when we're gonna have to pay attention to it, you know. But right now, at the rate AI is going, it's going pretty fast. I think it's slowing down a little bit, which is good. But at the rate it's going, I think we're gonna be pretty good off in the AI war race to conquer it. Honestly, though, I think you want to put your tinfoil hat on. I think AI has been used in the military and in government and federal things all the way back to the 50s and 60s. And I mean, I have no evidence to back this up. Let's just start there. I have no evidence to back this up, but the government, the United States government, has been known to cover things up and hide them from us, the people. And I think they do it for their own reasons, protect us, whatever it might be. But using that math or that idea, no duh, they were using phone like technology back before phones were invented. They were using computer like technology before the first standalone home computer was invented, whatever it might be, which means, which I think means they were using AI, like they have been since all the way back in the 50s, 60s, whatever. And AI is like, I mean, AI is a very open term, artificial intelligence. So, I mean, AI could be as simple as you give it 10,000, you give a computer 10,000 pictures of a banana, and you say all you have to do is detect a banana, and it learns off of these 10,000 pictures of a banana, and you show it a picture of a car and it says not a banana. You show it a picture of a banana, 99.9% banana, or 99.9% chance of it being a banana. That's artificial intelligence. It could be as simple as that. Or we have the modern day artificial intelligence where it's like, I'm going to a party and I was wondering what color dress I should wear. And then the AI is like, oh, you're going to a party. Well, there's multiple factors on what kind of dress you should wear. Is it a wine tasting party? Is it a themed party? And it'll go on and on and on. And, that's modern day AI. But I think we had some form of AI back in the 50s and 60s that we didn't know about. I mean, there's even now public, um, what's the word? It's publicly known that AI has been used back in the 2010s, like early 2010s. And even your iPhone, when Siri first came out, that's technically like AI, right? It's machine learning technology. You could literally say, "Hey, how's the weather?" And it will go through and look at the weather and this and that. And you gave it a prompt, and it said, "Oh, this person wants to know what the weather's like." So I went to go look at the weather, and yeah, that's like the first early public used form of AI. And I mean, it was painted up to be this thing in your phone, like an assistant, but you look at it from like a coding perspective or whatever, and it's AI. Like, it's crazy. You could be like, tell me a joke, and it has 10,000 jokes or whatever that it was taught or whatever it got fed, or different phrases you could say to it, which would change different things in your phone. That was like the earliest form of public used AI, and people didn't really think of it as AI. People thought of it as like a search engine, a weird tool in your phone, whatever. Because you go back 10, 15 years ago, no one would have thought AI would be a thing. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure 10 years ago, almost 6 years ago, 7 years ago now, I was watching a video on how AI is theoretically impossible to make, and here it is today, right? I guess, yeah. Wow. I've been rambling on about AI, but there's so much to talk about when it comes to that. You know? Um, Let me think here. Let me think if there's anything else that I want to add to that before we move on to the next topic. I mean, AI 5060s, 10 years ago, blah blah blah. Um I don't know. No, I think I kind of hit a dead end on this. I think I started circling way back, so I should have stopped talking then. Um, I mean, we talked about no specific timeline, photos getting. Oh no, not phones. Phones, not photos. Gaming, pros. I can't cover that. How? I mean, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. How private journalism is so important to America and the survival of it nowadays. Also, podcasts. Because, be, how do I? Let's see. Because it's you turn on the news, right? And whether you want to believe it or not, it's right in front of your face. They're lying to you. They twist the narrative sometimes, and they say the wrong thing, or let's just give them the benefit of the doubt, and they make a mistake or whatever, and they're saying the wrong thing. They thought it was something else. That's not the news. The news is supposed to be real global events without a bias or whatever. So, if you go to buy an ice cream cone from a truck and they decide to make a news story about it, the news story should be local person buys ice cream cone from the truck because they were hungry for ice cream cone. Not local person goes to buy an ice cream cone from an ice cream truck because they're trying to end the world. That's not news. It should just be what it is, flat out, right? And the news has gotten to a point where you don't know what's real or you don't know what's fake, right? Obviously, some things you can decipher, but at a certain point, it gets to the point where you don't know what is real news and what is fake news and this and that. Even with the journalism thing, that's been known to spin some topics and this and that and whatever. But private journalism, I'm talking about the people on YouTube, the people on X, the people on this and that, getting in the streets, doing interviews, recording it, just raw, mostly uncut footage or uncut interviews is what's like how you get your real news nowadays, you know. No matter what, it's what was I going for? No matter what it is, these private journalists, most of them, not all of them, not all of them, I'll say that, these private journalists will keep people's interviews in, no matter if it's right, wrong, silly, goofy, because that's what people are feeling, right? They're not going to cut out a 2-hour video down to half an hour. It's going to be straight up, raw, this person's opinion, this person's thought process, this and that. And if you want to skip certain parts, that's up to you. I think it's important because sometimes you're unsure how other people are feeling when global news happens or news even in our on our soil happens, because the news will only interview certain types of people, certain not types, but certain people that have one opinion, and it's always the same opinion. They don't talk to people on both sides of the opinion. It's only one side. And if they do talk to somebody on the other side, they twist it and they paint it to be this horrible thing, you know. I think back in the day we couldn't really control it, but nowadays you can tell a lot more what it is because of the free speech platforms like X and whatnot and whatever it might be. I don't know. I think it's very important because you get to hear real people, real opinions, real conversations, and it's not twisted or painted up to be something horrible. No matter if it's right or wrong, true or false, it's you get to hear real thought processes, and they leave it up to you to decide if you um if you align with these opinions or don't align or agree with these thought processes or don't agree. I mean, simple as that. When news gets to the point where they're only saying one opinion and every other opinion's the wrong opinion, that's not the news. That's not the news, you know. Sorry, not sorry, you know. I mean, kind of running out of ideas here, guys. I went through everything, so uh, I got everything out that I wanted to say. We talked about gaming, we talked about AI, we talked about private journalism, we talked about smartphones. Um, The last one is I don't know. Do we talk about it? Do we want to talk about it? Because I don't know. Do we want to talk about it? Me personally, um, I'm very outspoken with my opinions and views and everything. I'm very open, I guess you could say. I'm very open to saying my opinions, saying my thoughts, saying my views, and I'm always open to have a conversation. Um, and I've noticed that it affects the way certain people look at me and act around me. I'm very like I obviously I know there's a right place and there's the right time and the wrong place or whatever to say things. That's obvious, right? You shouldn't be talking about something at a funeral or certain things at a funeral, or you shouldn't be talking about certain things at church, right? Right place or whatever. There's always a right place and a wrong place. I know that, right? But I'm very outspoken with my opinions, and if somebody says something that I disagree with or says something I don't believe in, I'm gonna let them know, like, hey, you want to have a conversation about that? And you know, obviously, like I said, right place, wrong time, right place, whatever. And it's gotten to a point where certain people around me feel the need not to voice their opinions, and I think well, first of all, there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't feel comfortable voicing your opinion in a certain place, then you shouldn't feel the need to or whatever, right? But on the other hand, if something someone says to you doesn't sit right, or something um that's happening in the world, and you want to say something about it, um you should feel safe to or whatever. And I think most people nowadays would rather sit down, shut up, and listen and not say anything rather than talk about it. And it's kind of upsetting, because I love to have conversations about certain things. I love to talk about this. I love to talk about that. I love to talk, right? And I love to hear people's opinions, and I love to hear people's thoughts and views and everything in between. But when people don't feel comfortable or don't think they should, that's when you have a problem in society. When people are more willing to sit down and shut up and take whatever is fed to them, that's the problem. That like obviously right place, wrong time, right place, whatever. I think I'm saying that wrong, but who cares? I think it's very important to have conversations and debate about opinions, even if you disagree to agree, or even if you agree to disagree, right? Because then that means both sides said their thought process or said their opinion, and you thought about it, and maybe you didn't change your mind or whatever. You agree to disagree. That is okay. That is perfectly fine, right? But sitting there not saying anything, sitting there scared to say anything is a problem. I don't know exactly the point I'm trying to get at, but and maybe I am making sense and it's just me thinking whatever. But, you know, most of my friends, right? And I think I talked about this already. Most of my friends are most of my friends are willing to sit down and have a real conversation about just about anything. And it could be about potato chips, it could be about an asteroid, it could be about space, it could be about the moon, it could be about the ocean, it could be about fish, right? They're willing to sit down and have a real conversation. And I think that's part of the reason why we as friends have such a strong connection or whatever, is because we are willing to sit down and hear both sides of an argument or hear both sides of an opinion and talk about it. Like, I like a potato chip because it's nice and salty. And the other side's like, I don't like potato chips because there is too much salt and it makes my tongue feel very weird or my mouth feel weird. And you sit down and you're like, okay, I mean, I see your opinion, I see your thought behind it, but I like chips because they are salty. So I guess it's a matter of if you like chips or not, right? And I think that really strengthens my bond with people is because they're more willing to sit down and have a conversation. I don't have very many friends that aren't willing to sit down and talk nonsense with me, talk about anything. And now and let me get this out the way. We have opposing views on numerous topics, but we aren't disrespectful about it. Um we don't throw our other like our the other person's opinions in the garbage. We sit down. And I hope to God, I hope that we actually um, take both opinions or take both views and take it in consideration. I think we do that as as friends or whatever, but who knows? And we have a conversation, and at the end of the day, even if your mind didn't change, you feel great because you got to voice your opinion, voice your thought process, voice everything that you wanted to say. And, maybe that person goes home or your friend or whatever goes home and actually thinks about it and they're like, wow, maybe next time I eat potato chips, I'll think about how my mouth feels and see if I like it or not. Maybe I just haven't been eating potato chips right and they actually do hurt my mouth and I just don't feel it or I don't realize it. Whatever. Um Now like I said, since I'm very outspoken with my opinions and views and stuff, it affects people and the way they look at me. And certain people just refuse to have real, meaningful conversations because they're the kind of person that would rather sit down and shut up or not have a conversation and this and that. And there's nothing wrong with that to a certain extent, Because I know there's certain topics that I talk about or bring up around people, then I can see it visually that they don't feel like my opinion's right or they don't feel like whatever. And they sit there and don't say anything and they go out of their way and avoid me and this and that. And it's not only me, there's people around me that are the same, that are very outspoken and they avoid those people too. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that to a certain extent. I feel like if you believe in something, you should stand up for it and fight for it or whatever, or else you're not gonna be able to in the future. That's just me. That's just me rambling on. I'm just saying though, it's kind of goofy sometimes. It's really goofy. There's the kind of people that sit down and rather not say anything, and then there's the people that get up and argue just to argue. They're so used to arguing. They're addicted to it. Even if it's something you agree with, there's these kinds of people that just grind my gears that argue that, that hold on. Let me slow down. There's these people that sit down and even if they agree with your view, they will argue you. And okay, sure, argue. I'm not talking yelling at each other. I'm talking good arguments. They well, sometimes yelling arguments or whatever, but mostly good arguments. They'll argue against it even if they agree with it. And nothing wrong with that, obviously, but when you sit there arguing against every single thing, and to a certain point, it doesn't make sense. Cause you were just saying you liked potato chips, and now you're arguing that potato chips are horrible and this and that, just to feel like just to get the dopamine hit that you want to argue. It's kind of goofy. Like, come on, dude. You just maybe it's because they don't like that person, or maybe it's something else going on in their head, but I don't get it. I don't get it. Why do you feel the need to argue about literally anything. And I know I'm not crazy on this part because there's literal Reddit people that have a big following that'll troll their entire following saying which is better, red or green? And there will be 20,000 comments where there's full blown arguments about how green is better than red because green is natural, green is this, green is that. No, red is better because red is this, red is that, red is. It's it's hilarious to a certain point where y'all are arguing about green or red, dude. Sit down, have a real conversation. Okay, so I hear that you think red is better than green. Can you please state your opinions on why red is better than green? And they'll sit down and be like, "Well, I think red's better than green for the simple fact of red signifies danger, and when you see red, you think of maybe safety, in whatever, and you think, oh, fire truck. Okay. If you saw a green fire truck on the road, you'd think maybe it's not a real working fire truck. And that's why I think red is probably more important than green. And the other person would be like, "Oh, okay. I mean, I never really thought about it that way." And then let me think about this really quick. Okay, red, and then they'll go green. Okay, okay. So I hear what you're saying. Red is this and red is that, but I think green is more important than red or better than red because it's a sign of natural. It's a sign of like everything on it. Almost 90% of this planet is green to a certain extent. This and that, and I think green is very important because if you don't see a tree for 100 days, you might go crazy. And the other person's like, oh, okay. I mean, okay. Let me think about that. If I don't, you know, okay, okay, okay. So I see what you're saying. Green is probably in its own category, and instead people rather sit down and argue on the Twitter, on the Reddits, arguing about stupid stuff. What? Sometimes you gotta sit there and laugh at it because it's so stupid, and it's hilarious that people take it so seriously. Sometimes people aren't even arguing with other people, they're arguing with robots. Like, really, dude? You want to sit down and have an argument, and it might not even be a real person? It's hilarious. Yeah. The ultimate loser is that right there. The ultimate loser is the person who'd rather sit down in their home arguing with strangers on the internet rather than having conversations. I think it shows a lot as like a person, definitely, because like um if you rather sit down in your house, get on Twitter, and argue with people there, it shows that you aren't open to a conversation. You aren't open minded as a person. You aren't very outspoken. I mean, there's so many things you could look at it as. People look at you with a lower intelligence or whatever, look at you thinking you have a lower intelligence, this and that. Now, I know for a fact there's certain smart people that do sit down in their homes arguing with people on the Twitter. And yeah, couch potatoes. I think that will be the name of this one, couch potatoes. So many couch potatoes. Do, 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 do. I think we had a pretty productive conversation. Um, I mean, honestly, if you've made it this far, I'm just gonna ramble for a second. Um, I want to have guests on here, and I have a few people lined up already that we could sit down and have a conversation with. It's just the matter of getting them to come sit down, finding free time, and this and that. I do have a few people, but we got to find some free time for them to come and sit down and have a conversation. So not the next, well, maybe not the next one, but definitely in the near future, we will have other people on here, and it won't just be me rambling on and on and on and on and on and on about nonsense. I mean, it will be rambling about nonsense, but it will be me with somebody else. So you get to hear a real conversation and not go crazy listening to me. So, with that being said, this is now the longest episode yet, 45 minutes, and I'm gonna see y'all another time. So, y'all have a great day.